Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. We are here once again. Apologies for last week. Had a lot of technical issues. I think I figured everything out, but if I do start lagging or something goes wrong, I'll let you know. And I'll post my picks somewhere. Follow me on X, at _Justin_sports. And I can post my picks there if you follow me on X and everything like that. But let's not lollygag any further. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. First and foremost, always want to give a huge shout out to this channel sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. If you are a new time user and you use the promo code TJS at sign up and wager just $5, you will get $100 in bonus funds to play with. So that's $5 for $100 bonus. Using that code TJS for new customers, you can follow me along here and, hopefully win some money. So let's just go ahead, kind of talk about my logic here, just because some of you may have not watched this before. So the point of this is for me to talk out what I'm thinking. I'm going to build the biggest ticket possible, so I'm going to take the full 8. I don't recommend doing that unless you just want to, try to maximize everything you can. So you usually want to do anywhere from 3 to 5 is usually where I typically like to live, depending on how dangerous you want to go. But for me, this is just for entertainment purposes, hopefully winning money, not, trying to take the most logical approach, you know what I mean? Making 20,000 tickets and everything like that. So with that, you can take my advice. We're going to look through everything, why I'm thinking the way I think. And I always want to tell you, go with your gut. If you don't like what I'm saying or anything to that degree, totally fine. Go with what you want to do. But the whole point of this video is for you to hear what I'm thinking, what I'm talking about, and the reason behind it. So let's go ahead and jump into the slate here. We have a divisional game here between Minnesota and Detroit, and there's a lot of question marks going around here. And it is looking like J.J. McCarthy is going to be starting this game. So that is the first big question mark hit because Carson Wentz got hurt. He looked pretty good, not great, as the relief for J.J. McCarthy. And this is going to be J.J.'s first real action. J.J. has not had a good career so far. He has been hurt, and his line is at 209 against the Lions. Let's just even see where the Lions rank when it comes to against the quarterback here. Ooh. Not as good as the Texans. That's nice. Lions. There they are, right there. They're 11. So they give up a decent amount to quarterback. So that's not to say that they're unbeatable, but they do give up a decent amount of points to the quarterback position. It's just a question of if J.J. McCarthy is going to be able to do anything. And that's just where I'm hesitant in this game. Something else I do is if I don't like anything on the slate, I'm going to skip it. So I'm typically doing anywhere from... My goal is to have 4 picks per game, per ticket, just because giving you options, everything like that. I'm usually going to give the ones that I think are most realistic to the least realistic out of the 4. So there are some slates that I will entirely skip. Because of the Lions, I don't want to skip this one, but it's hard for me to take any of the the Vikings very seriously just because of J.J. McCarthy and how inconsistent he's been. If I'm taking anyone, it's going to be Justin Jefferson. He's looked good. He's gotten his targets. He is the guy there. And I just think taking him at targets is going to be your safest bet here. Just because, again, JJ's coming back. He's going to want to go to his old reliable targets in Justin Jefferson. The only reason I'm also hesitant about this, though, is the last time that JJ McCarthy and Jefferson played together, this man was serving a suspension. So he is now back. What is he going to do, and how is it going to look with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison on the same field with J.J. McCarthy? That is something that I am hesitant about. But as far as the Lions go, I'm a little more trustworthy. I am nervous at the running back game because if you look at the points allowed for the running back position when it comes to the Lions, they are very good. They've given up the 29th most points. So they're basically one of the best in the league. Jahmyr Gibbs is a different beast, but if I'm going to take anything, I'm going to take his touchdowns just because that is something that is able to be exploited. He seems to be a touchdown machine. He seems to be the guy. They've been able to get him the ball. He, gets multiple touchdowns. These 2 weeks, not great, but look at 2 TDs, 2 TDs. When he plays a decent team, he basically gets in the end zone. The Cincinnati Bengals are terrible and he didn't score, so it's not a consistent thing where, he plays a good defense, he doesn't score. So just with where Detroit is, divisional game, going against Minnesota, I think this is going to be a game where Gibbs can get in the end zone for sure. Amon-Ra is one I'm looking at too, just because if you look at the rankings of wide receivers when it comes to the Vikings, they are right here. They are, they are one of the better ones. They're at 25. So they're, a little bit better than average. But Amon-Ra is still Amon-Ra St. Brown. Even when he goes against good defenses, he still gets his targets. He's still getting his yards. And at 8.5 targets, I like that a lot. Just because, again, look at all the matchups he's had. Bad team, good team, good team. Still got the targets up with Goff. So he has that relationship right now. He is their pressure valve. And I think Amon-Ra getting those targets is definitely something that is more than likely to happen. Again, not a guarantee. 8.5 is a lot. 9 targets is a lot for a game like this, but just, again, divisional matchup, weird things happen. You have those rivalries. I think it's just going to be one of those shootout type games, hopefully. Mason is one I'm also looking at just because, yeah, it's hard. It's so low, and he has that breakout ability even as the backup, just because Aaron Jones is back, and you can see what he did last week. Didn't get a ton of touches. Yeah, I'm going to actually stay off Mason. If you are going to be risky, take the lower. And why I say that's more risky is just because I don't like taking players that it's basically 1 or 2 decent runs that could get this. Even with how good the Lions defense is, 37 yards just seems somewhat doable for a backup running back to potentially get. So, that's why I'm kind of like, Again, not realistic, not 100% guaranteed, but something that is potential, so I want to avoid that at all costs. Aaron Jones, on the other hand, is somebody I do want to look at, just because he hasn't had great games, no, but he's due for one. He's been hurt. He's not, he's not been the guy, but again, I think this is a week that it just happens. Divisional games, I'm a sucker for them, especially that NFC North, because like I said, look at the Lions here. They have a great run defense, but I don't know. I have a feeling about Aaron Jones that I'm willing to take that risk. Again, this is my 4th pick out of this one, so it's like the least likely. If I'm building a major ticket where I'm only involving 1 or 2 players at most in a ticket, I'm not putting this in here. But if you're strictly looking at this Lions-Vikings game, I think this could be a little bit of a sneaky one. So I'm going to take the higher on yards here if I'm going to take Aaron Jones, just because, again, I think he's due for this. I think he's due for a game, especially against a division rival, showing he's still got some gas in the tank. So that's just my thought process there. But again, do what you think is best. Follow your gut. Do what you think you need to do. Because again, at the end of the day, it's your money and you got to win money. That's the whole point of this. So do what you got to do. Moving over to Indianapolis and Pittsburgh. This is one of those games that I'm actually really, really, really excited about, because on paper, it should be a great matchup. And it's something that I want to see, play out. If it ends up being a blowout by the Colts, one, it depresses me as a Texans fan because it means that they're actually for real. But number 2, it just will be a disappointment because, again, the Steelers should have a good enough team where this is a very entertaining game. So let's go to the running back rankings, because I'm already looking at JT. He was a thumbnail in this video. He has been a stud this year, just running back number 1. I was hesitant to take him just because of the whole Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones debacle. I did say he will have a better season than if Daniel Jones is under center, and here we are. So, what are we looking at with Jonathan Taylor? 96 yards or 118 rushing and receiving yards. He's done that multiple times. Touchdown is where I'm looking, though. He has been a beast every single week. Outside of the Rams game, he's got in the end zone. There is a caveat to this, though, because if you look at teams he played outside of the Chargers aren't very good defensively. Vegas isn't good. Arizona's not good. Tennessee's not good. The Steelers, on the other hand, are pretty decent as a defense. I did not see where they rank. Yeah, right here. They're 20th against the running back. So they're pretty stingy, a little above average once again. But the problem with the Colts is that they actually have weapons with their receivers, with their running back. You can't really stop their offense as a whole, which is why if I'm going to take anything with Jonathan Taylor, it's going to be this touchdown here. I think him getting in the end zone is pretty much a more than likely situation that's going to happen. Because again, I never want to say something's a lock because nothing's a lock. These games have to be played before anything can happen. So you don't want to say lock, but if I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor as a whole, he looks like somebody who is going to get in the end zone more than likely out of anyone on this field. So I'm going to take the risk here, especially with his trajectory, everything that he's been doing lately. I just want to go ahead and trust Jonathan Taylor in this game. I also want to look at Jaylen Warren. He's had a surprisingly decent season. He hasn't been off the charts, but he's been very, very good. This is not a dig at him at all, but I may take the lower on touchdowns. He hasn't scored in 5 weeks. Again, he's due for one, but he barely even gets the work down there. It feels like they want to throw it. Again, that's always been my problem with like players, Aaron Rodgers, even on the Packers. They never ran the ball at the goal line. Even when they had good running backs, they always let Aaron Rodgers throw it, and I just feel like that's what's happening in Pittsburgh. But if we also look at the Colts defense against the running back, they're at 26. They're in the top half of the league, or top, I'm bad at math. Sorry. They're in the top portion of the league when it comes to stopping running backs. So that's why I'm kind of trusting a little lower here. Again, it's hard. It's hard to just say for sure, like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. He's not going to score because, again, game's got to be played. But with how good the Colts defense is and just with his trajectory and his usage, Jaylen Warren not getting a touchdown just kind of seems like it's more than likely. But again, that's what's going to happen, though, is that this is the week I'm saying it's not going to happen, and then it's going to happen. So take that with what you will. But if I'm going off my gut, I'm going to take that lower, trust the situation here. DK is another interesting one. Just because he and Aaron Rodgers appear to have a relationship at this point, not a relationship, but they have a bond, it looks like. The Colts also give up a ton of points to the wide receiver. They're ranked number 4 right here, giving up 31.7 points to wide receivers. DK's been doing pretty well. Green Bay is a good offense or defense, so I'm not shocked there, but he's still got a touchdown, still got those fantasy points. So it's one of those games that I definitely think he could go. But I'm looking at his usage. I wish they had targets here. I hate when they don't give me the targets. They give me the receptions, but not targets. But I'm going to take those receptions. 5 seems doable for him. Yeah, 5 seems doable, especially with how bad the Colts are against the wide receiver. He should be able to get there early and often. The only thing that I'm nervous about are the secondary receivers, because that could be a game where Calvin Austin eats just because they're looking at DK. They're going to cover DK, and he could get fed more, so it's all about what your gut's saying, but to me, DK getting 5 seems pretty realistic. And I'm just going to the well with this one again. Tyler Warren has been amazing this season. He's been one of the best rookie tight ends we've seen in a while. And he just seems to get the usage. He even runs the ball. I mean, how do you get upset at that? But they have started adjusting him accordingly. So if you look, his target's 5, 5, 9, 4, 6. They got him at 7. Kind of hard to feel like that's an advantage. You know what I mean? It's hard to argue that that's not a good line because it absolutely is, but it's hard to just take that with confidence. Receiving yards is the same kind of thing. They're kind of getting him a little bit better, but I feel like there's a little more wiggle room there, because let's even see what the Steelers do against the tight end here. Where are we at? Oh, I hit the wrong button. So the Colts are there. So Steelers are actually give the second most points to tight ends. I hate that. I actually hate that because this makes it way harder. Because I would say go for a touchdown here, but I have Jonathan Taylor going for a touchdown, so it's kind of, I don't like putting too much faith in 2 touchdown games with that because you basically have to follow the exact game script. I'm going to go with the fantasy points higher. Because that way you're just rooting for him to just get action. And with how bad the Steelers are against tight ends, second worst, I think he could definitely get 12 points. Because he went against the Cincinnati Bengals, right? No, that was the Steelers. Sorry. So 11.85 points, I think that's doable too. Those would be my 4 in this matchup just because I want it to be a shootout. So I'm going to look at the skill positions and just go for the skill positions. Moving on. We have Denver at Houston. Obviously bias here. I'm a Texans fan, so always take that into consideration. Pat Surtain is hurt. This man's coming off a concussion, and CJ looked great last week against the 49ers, yes. 49ers were injured, but he looked much better. He was stepping up in the pocket. It looks like this offense might actually be clicking. The only thing that makes me scared about Nico is they have not used him like he's been used in the past. They just haven't. But with how good their defense is, and with Surtain being out, I think that they will be able to exploit this, and I want to take those targets at higher. Done it 3 times. Bad team, didn't throw the ball. Actually, got hurt with a concussion there. So even when on his game when he was hurt against a good defense, he got 10 targets. I think they're going to try to feed him the ball a little bit more, get him a little bit more involved, get him going, because Nico will be the life force of this offense. Granted, Noel did great last week. The receiving core in general did great last week, but having Nico there is going to help that situation, especially with Kirk coming back as well, him being more of that slot receiver. I think it's going to open Nico up more. But again, I know I'm biased. This is a man that scares me just because I have him in my fantasy team, and he is going up against the best defense in the league in the Houston Texans. Where do they rank on running backs? Right here, 24th. So above average there. Their QB ranking, number 1. They are the hardest team to score when it comes to QBs. I think wide receiver they actually do. Oh, 3rd. So this is a defense that doesn't give up a ton of points. And again, they stop the run. His line is so low at 60 that it's hard to argue it. Especially when you look at what he's done over the last 5 games. But where do these teams rank when it comes to running back? Let's see. Bengals are the worst. Okay, well that's one game, right? Eagles, Jets, Giants, Dallas. Eagles, Giants. Dallas is 5th. Giants are 7th. Jets are 8th. Eagles are 9th. They have played very bad run defenses when it comes to running back position. So they are going up against a better defense. Oh, where are the Cowboys? Did I even? Oh yeah, I said Cowboys. Hold on. Am I missing one? No, that's everybody. So all the defenses he played against, the worst one was 9th. 9th when it comes to the running back position. They're now going up number 24. It's hard for me to confidently say that he is going to hit any of these numbers. Any of them. Just because how are you going to argue that he can do that against this run defense? That's why I'm staying away from Dobbins as a whole, but my gut wants to stay lower. Absolutely lower. But again, just wanted to talk about him just because it is a nerve-wracking situation watching a running back like that, especially one that you may own in fantasy, who's not going to be able to operate the way you think he should operate. Well, let's go to Sutton because, again, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people are thinking. I think it's going to be more of a shootout than anything. And the Texans, again, very good against the receiver. They still got 21 points to him. Sutton has been not great. Let's be honest. He's been up and down. Franklin looks like a much better target situation with Bo Nix. Him and Bo Nix seem to have that relationship. Cortland Sutton is going to be against Derek Stingley this week. I still think he's going to be able to do it. I'm just going to be honest. I like Stingley, but he's been playing hurt. And I see it happening, but my hesitation is at receptions or receiving yards. I'm going to go with receptions, just because I think that is the most realistic option here. I think he is going to catch the ball. I think he's going to be able to beat Stingley on a few different routes here. So I'm going to take Sutton there with the receptions at the higher. Why did I not save as higher? That's weird. There we go. Oh. All right, let's refresh. Or did Sutton... Was Sutton on the injury report? Let's see. Okay, let's remove Sutton. No, he's still there. Okay, let's just see. Is there any news of him? No. All right. All right, let's see. Is he on the injury report? Nope. All right, so they may be updating this line, so we'll see where it is at 4.5. But that's where my gut's going at the higher at 4.5. But we'll see what they update by the time we're done here. Christian Kirk is another one I'm very interested in because, again, he's been hurt most of the year. So if any one of these is exploitable, it's going to be Kirk because he's got a very low ceiling, or a very high ceiling, very low floor. So the question is going to come down to if you feel like this is exploitable. Let's look at where the Broncos rank here when it comes to wide receivers. Dead last. But that's because they had Surtain, and Surtain is now hurt. So they're going to have to move their cornerback 2 to over to number 1 to cover Nico. So who's that going to leave to cover Kirk? I do think this is going to be a reception game where he can get 3. I mean, that's basically what he does pretty much every game outside of the Carolina game. 3, 3, 4. Being covered by probably at best the number 2 corner is going to be something that I think helps their situation. Looking at Bo Nix, though, he's been kind of going off lately when it comes to yards. Again, this is going to be a team that is tough to play. They are the least amount of quarterbacks, or least amount of points to quarterbacks. So I want to take the pass attempts here. I think this is going to be one of those games where, again, it's going to be closer than people think. I like what CJ Stroud's doing. I like what the Texans are doing last week. So that's where I'm at. The only other one I'd look at is Troy Franklin, because, again, him and Bo Nix seem to have a connection here, because look at 8, 5, 4, 10, 8 in targets. He's been getting the yards, so they've been trying to make this work, but over the last few games, they've definitely been able to do that. So I'm going to look at the targets at 6.5 at Troy Franklin, just because, again, they have that Oregon connection. They are going to be able to work this team with Derek Stingley being banged up. So, and, you know, Troy Franklin's really like option number 3 if you really think about it, because it's usually like Sutton, Mims, and Franklin. Those are the 3 wide receivers that I feel like you see the most. So those would be the 4 I'm looking at. Well, 5 really. But let's get that clear and move on to the next one, because, again, I know it's my bias coming out being a Texans fan. So let's go ahead and move to a matchup where we can avoid that bias. All right, Atlanta, New England. This is an interesting matchup here just because New England has been much better than I think people were really anticipating. Their running back situation is, I don't know why you draft a rookie and don't use him, but that's just me. We're here. But Drake May has looked absolutely amazing. So let's look at Drake. First TD score, fumble loss. I love these ones. So they have his line at 230, basically. You need to get 230. It's done it pretty recently, and let's just look at the Falcons as a whole when it comes to quarterback play. They are one of the better teams in the league when it comes to quarterback play. I still think Drake can get it done, but I don't know about 230. So let's back off on that one just because I don't love it. But let's look at Henderson. With Stevenson out, they have to. They have to rely on this man more, right? It would make sense. It's hard to trust it because I don't know what it is about the New England Patriots. Belichick did this, and now it looks like Vrabel does this. You have no idea where their running back stands. You never do. So, but he's got to get more touches this week. It's inevitability, right? And especially against the Browns, he got 75 yards against a team that is very, very, very good against running backs. Number 1 against running backs, and he still got 75 yards. Did not mean to click that. Okay. So you're saying 56 yards he's got to get. They won't even give you attempts, because I was going to take the attempts, but they won't even give me that. God, this is a hard matchup. This is absolutely hard. I may avoid that one. I'm going to be honest. I'm looking at it. There's nothing I like in that game. All right, San Francisco, New York. He burned me last week. I said, you got to show me that you can't do it anymore. And last week, he absolutely showed that he can't do it anymore. 100 and something yards is the max. But I'm going back to this well. Against the Giants defense, who, let's just even see here. 7th against running backs. I'm taking this all day. 130. It's high. It's really, really high. But again, I think he can do it. I really think he can do it at 130. I don't think that's insane. How bad is that? I don't think that's insane. All right, Jackson Dart is another one I'm looking at. He's been great this year. Been a surprise. I was clamoring for him to be the starter much earlier than he was. I just want to say I was on that train. And the Niners, yeah, they're a better defense when it comes to quarterbacks, but it's still something that I think is exploitable, and I think they can get 2 touchdowns. I think Jackson Dart can get 2 touchdowns. They throw the ball a lot. You know, the only game he really didn't do it against was Philly and the Chargers, but against Denver he threw 3. The Niners just got lit up by C.J. Stroud. Jackson Dart uses his legs more, and I think he'll be able to, you know, stretch out, get the pocket. So I'm going to take that 2 touchdowns right there. Wandale's another one I like. He's basically the number 1 target since Neighbors went down. So, but the 8.5. I'll go receptions. I like the 5.5. I think he can get 6 against this team. That's very beatable. Again, just show that they can absolutely get demolished by a team like the Texans. The Giants are no different. They're a dog going in, losing. Cam Scatterboo's a huge loss, but it's something that I think that, again, can be exploitable. Mr. Kittle's another one. He gets the targets. He gets the receptions. He's been hurt, but I still think he can get a touchdown. I like Kittle for a touchdown again. This is my 4th option out of this matchup, so I think it's the least likely out of the 4, but that would be my gut there, is Kittle getting the end zone, because let's even see where the Giants rank on tight end. Again, middle of the road here, 17th. Oh, no. Yeah, 17th. So our average, I think Kittle getting the end zone being a above average tight end, one of the better ones in the league, I think he can definitely get in the end zone there. But those would be my 4 for that matchup. So let's go ahead and move on from the Niners and Giants. Moving on to Carolina, Green Bay. This should be an absolute blowout. I have no hope for the Panthers in this matchup. Mr. Jacobs has been one that I go to a lot because he gets in the end zone. I don't see that being any different this weekend. I see Josh Jacobs basically falling in there, especially against the Carolina Panthers. I think the Panthers are actually pretty okay against the run. Let me see. If I remember correctly, I was actually shocked they were actually pretty decent against the run. Yeah, they're 19th. So, oh my God. So, the issue with the Panthers is that they're decent at the run, but they don't have to stop Josh Jacobs. And Packers also are able to move the ball downfield and then just let him feast on the goal line. Him getting in the end zone, I don't think is out of the realm of possibility here. Same with Tucker Kraft. I like Kraft. He's been good this year. But again, I don't like doing 2 touchdowns because basically you have to get the perfect game script right. But he is somebody that you could definitely get the targets for. I think the targets are basically a home run here. He's one of Love's favorite targets. Again, look what he did last week. 2 TDs. He's been scoring touchdowns regularly. That's why I'm like, I don't hate this. But again, if I didn't take Jacobs as the touchdown runner, I'd probably take this one. So that's where I'm at with that. Tet has had a very up and down season. He still gets his targets and receptions. He's been getting, okay yardage, but he gets in the end zone against Dallas, which kind of saves his week that week. Bryce Young is back. But I think the Packers, let's just even see. I know I'm relying a lot on this week. It's just 14th against QB. Where are they at receiver? 13th. Okay. So they're about average. I think the targets here are realistic. I think the Panthers are going to be down very early. I think it's going to be a game where they rely on the pass way more, especially with Bryce Young coming back. And I think he's going to try to feed Tet just because he's that reliable target. Rico, they got his numbers good. As a starter, this man was incredible. I don't know how they keep giving Chuba Hubbard the ball because Rico should be the starter hands down, and it shouldn't even be a question. But because I think this game is going to be a lot of the Panthers being down, I was looking at pass attempts here, but 33 is way too high for me. I'm going to drop that a little. Let's see where we can get it. 27.5, we can get it that low. Take the higher on that. Yeah, I think 27.5 getting 28 on a game like this, I think that's very realistic. So getting 28, again, you're dropping a little bit, so you're going to take a little ding on the payout there, but I think that's where I would live right there at that 28. But that would be the 4 in this matchup again. The Packers look too good in this. If I could take all Packers, I would, but I don't think this game is going to be close. It is going to be absolutely a blowout. Moving on to Cincinnati and Chicago. Cincinnati is terrible. Joe Flacco's look pretty good. I can't deny that. But this is a game to really show what the Chicago Bears are about, and I think they are going to try to run up the score here. I'm looking at Rome Odunze. Him and Caleb came in the league together. This was supposed to be his breakout year, and he's starting to get those targets and receptions. Took a couple down weeks against Washington and a very bad Saints team, but look at what he did against Baltimore again. Another bad team. Vegas, a bad team. Dallas, bad team. Where do the Bengals rank, you ask? Let's just take a look here. Against wide receivers, the Bengals are right here, 20th. Now, I don't want to say that's because the teams run up the score on them and they don't need to throw the ball, but that's because teams run up the score on them and they don't need to throw the ball. I think this is going to be a situation, like I said, where they're going to try to run up the score, show that they are the team, they are the ones, they're for real. So I like Rome and Dunze. But the question is where do I like Rome? Because, again, against a bad Saints team, barely did anything. Everywhere else except Washington, he's hit his projections. It's hard. I like the receptions here, but the targets is calling me for that bonus. But I'm going to play this one more safe and take that receptions just because, again, I think this is going to be one of those games where they just try to feed the receivers, try to establish their dominance, and just go with that. So we're going to look at Caleb as well. Been a lot of question marks about if they took the right guy, especially with how Drake Mays looked. So, again, this is probably going to be a game where they are trying to show who they are. And especially with Swift being out, that's another big question mark on how they're going to run the ball, because I can never pronounce the backup's name, but we're going to look at him too. But it's hard to gauge where the Bears are going to be. Are they going to be more pass heavy or run heavy? Because, again, look at where they are. I'm going to take the passing yards. I like him at 241. I think that's doable in the situation, so let's just trust that. Jamar is always going to be a heart here just because he is a target machine. Jesus. Ever since Joe Flacco's come here, that's all he does. So let's just go ahead, keep milking that cow until it comes home, because at 10.5, when Pittsburgh he got 23 and New York he got 19. My God, they know where the ball's going and they can't do anything about it. So let's just keep going to that well. But let's look at, I am so sorry, Kyle, that I'm going to butcher your name here. Monagai. I can't say it, but either way, he has a chance to break out here because he's actually looked pretty decent when he's gotten his chances. But Swift has looked so good that he hasn't gotten a ton of them. They're setting his total pretty high at 72 when it's something that he's only done once. But I'm going to trust it. I like it. I think he's going to get the work because they aren't giving me touches yet, are they? No, they're not giving me touches. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and trust the rushing yards on that because I think it's something that Kyle can absolutely do because, again, I think this is going to be a game where the Bears are trying to establish their dominance, show who they are. So let them be them and operate that way. So let's go ahead and remove those 4. And move on to the Chargers at Tennessee. I think we all know where I'm leaning on this one. We are going to be heavily investing in the Los Angeles Chargers. Sorry, switch out here. So, Titans are terrible. We all know the Titans are terrible. Where are they wide receiver? They are 10th in points allowed on wide receiver. They are 3rd in running back. And they are... let's just go back there. Because I can just see. Okay, they actually do pretty decent against the quarterback position. with all that said, they are terrible at running back, and I think this is a game where the Chargers are up a lot and early and often, and I think they are just going to feed Vidal. Look at what this man can do with the ball. Take that higher on the rushing yards. Yeah, I just don't see any other option there. It's just he's going to get fed. Absolutely. Let's look for a Titan because I hate when it tells me I can't do everyone on one team. So let's just see. What's Cameron at? Pass attempts. 32.5. Let's take that higher because all but one game against Houston, he's done that. I don't see this game being any different. So let's go ahead and take that. Okay, now looking back at the Chargers. That's literally the only Titan I'm going to look at with any serious consideration. When your starting running back is projected at 37, and that's actually a decent line, yeah, it's not a good situation. Whew. Who would I start between Sutton or Tracy in full PPR? That's a good question. Because let's just see who are the Giants playing again? Let me just see. San Francisco. So the Giants, middle of the road, full PPR. I'm leaning towards Sutton. Just because Tracy, they still have Singletary there. So it's not like Tracy's going to be like for sure the guy. He's going to have to give up some touches too. Let's even see if they put Singletary. Yeah, so they still have Singletary getting some work here. And without Scattaboo, it's kind of hard to say who's for sure going to... Because like they were splitting until... Look when Scattaboo took over. He barely got any touches. And even last week with Scattaboo out. So... yeah, I'm leaning towards Sutton on that just for the PPR aspect. If it wasn't PPR, then yeah, you have an argument for Tracy. Because let's see, how much does he even touch the ball? Yeah, 2-2. So you're getting up 2 points, maybe 3 points if you're doing PPR regular scoring. So, and I think the Eagles defense is worse than the Niners defense. So I'm leaning more towards that Sutton though. That's just where I'm at with that. It's a tough call though, because game could go either way, but definitely Sutton in that situation. Going back to the Titans and Chargers game, Ladd McConkey has been somebody I'm looking at too. He is starting to come into his own, more or less where we thought he would be over the last few weeks. Start of the season wasn't great, but 7.5 targets just feels too low, especially where he's been over the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to hammer that 2.5 or 7.5 there all day. Him and Herbert have that relationship. They have that situation going. So I'm going to go ahead and lean into that for sure. The only other one I'm really looking at is Keenan Allen. Again, heavy pass situations, he gets his targets. But every week he's around that 4 or 5. So I'd be willing to take the risk again. This is my least favorite out of the 4. But if I'm going to strictly look at this matchup, these would be the 4 I'm looking at right here. But that is that for that matchup. So let's go ahead and jump to the next one. I think the next one's the afternoon slate, or was there one more morning game? Nope, that is the afternoon slate. Okay, so looking at the Saints and Rams here. As we said, the Saints are not a very good team. The Rams are a very good team. Puka Nacua is coming back. I think his receiving yards are a little high, especially with him coming back from injury at 94. I'm going to look at the targets here again. 10 seems doable. Look what he was doing before he got hurt. He was hitting those every single week. He's Stafford's favorite target. He's the most talented player on that team. I think 10 is realistic for him. Absolutely. I also think Williams getting in the end zone is very realistic because look where the Saints are at the running back position. They are 14th, allowing 20 points. Williams has gotten in the... Oh, did not mean to do that. Williams has gotten in the end zone. Let's see. Okay, it's been a few weeks. Kind of shocked he was zeroed out in the Jacksonville game. But either way, he's a pass catching and run threat. I think he gets in the end zone against a very bad Saints team. Especially with where I think this game script is going to go. The Rams are going to be up high. They're going to get their score up and basically just run the ball. On the Saints side, I do like Shaheed. I really like Shaheed. Especially at 5.5 targets. I really like Shaheed. Shuck likes him. They probably have a relationship just because they, being the backup quarterback, he probably worked with Shaheed a lot. So I like that right there. I think 6 targets from a guy who seems to have a pretty decent rapport. I think that's going to be a pretty nice situation. Where do they have Stafford? 256 yards. Can you take the lower? I'm going to take the lower. And I'm even going to take the lower with the rushing yards. Just give me a couple bonus yards just to make it so much lower. Because I don't see this being a 40 pass situation game. Look where they are when he throws 40. He hits those numbers. When he throws an average game, like in the 30s, look, not even 200 yards. I don't see this being a game where he's throwing the ball I don't see this being a game where he throws the ball 40 times. So I'm going to take that lower just for that reason. I think this is a game where the Saints just get dominated and it's just begging for mercy, and then everyone's going to say Shuck's not the guy, and then wonder what they're going to do, and then talk about how they need to draft a quarterback this year because they're probably going to have the number 1 pick. It's going to be like clockwork, dude. I'm telling you right now, that is basically what's going to happen. And I just want to see where the Saints are. 16th when it comes to quarterback. So they're able to not basically get their ass kicked, but it's not a great situation to be in. I empathize with Saints fans. Being a Texans fan myself, it sucks sometimes. But that's where I am for that matchup. But let's go ahead and jump into Jacksonville and Vegas. I want this to basically be a Raiders dominant game. I can't trust that it's going to be a Raiders dominant game because the Jags are decent. I hate to say it, but they're actually pretty decent this year. Where they suffer is drops. Their wide receivers get targeted all game long, but they drop the ball a lot. So let's just see where the Jags are. Because there's obviously a player I have in mind. He's the guy on the Raiders, but 25th when it comes to running backs. Was blanked in that KC game. That fucking hurt. Ugh. Okay. So we're looking at him. It's 61 yards. Yeah, I'll take that. 61 yards seems doable. Do they have attempts? Do they give me 16 rushing attempts? I'll take that, actually. I'll take that 16 rushing attempts. So again, I don't think this is a blowout by the Jags, but I definitely think that it's a game where they keep it close. I think they keep it close. So I think Genty at 16 is realistic. Bowers is also coming back off injury, and I think they're going to want to kind of get him the ball as much as possible. It's kind of been hard. They got him perfectly. They have him at 7. That sweet spot right there. I'll take the 4.5 receptions. I think that's more consistent because if you're looking at this 5, 5, 5, and then 1 where he doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and trust that because it seems like they get him the ball a few times. So getting 5 doesn't seem crazy. So let's go ahead and trust that. Travis Hunter is now on IR. This should mean that more targets going to Brian Thomas, but I don't know. It's hard. He's been hard to trust. I have him in one league and it's hard to trust. He's cleared to play on Sunday, so that's good. And again, it's just they have him perfectly at every situation here. But let's go ahead with the 70 yards. Again, He should get more targets. He should get the work. He should be able to do that. This is really going to be the game that decides if he is able to do any of this. So let's see if they're actually able to do this. This is another interesting one. Jacoby Myers, he's requesting a trade. He is projected to be traded. So is this a game where they just feed him the ball to make his value go up? It's hard to say. But it's an interesting prospect nonetheless. Somebody I'm definitely keeping my eye on there. Outside of that, though, outside of these three, and these three are hard to even have a ton of confidence in, so those would be the three here. I can't even find a fourth that I'm like, yeah, this is one that I would try to tackle. The game of the week is Buffalo, Kansas City. I don't know if we can really argue otherwise, but I'm looking at this man who just had a 200-yard game, and I'm going back to this well. Kansas City, when it comes to running backs, are pretty decent. They're 27th, so they're hard to run against, but he also catches the ball. So I'm going to get that 90.5. I think 91 yards for James Cook between the run game and the pass game. I think they can do that. It's a specialty they live in. It's a world they live in, so I like James Cook to get that. Rashee Rice is another one. He has been a monster since coming back, and I'm going to take that receptions at 6.5 because, again, since he came back, he's been doing that. Mahomes likes him. There's so many weapons when it comes to the Chiefs that they can't just put cornerback one on Rashee the entire game. They're going to have to, get other guys covered, like Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy. They're going to have to get, somebody else on Rashee in certain times, and I think that him to get the ball 7 times isn't out of the realm of possibility. I think that's actually a very decent line. Josh Allen, let's just see what his pass attempts is. 31.5. That's a hard one. Just because this is a game that it could absolutely be that. 31.5. Okay, let's just take a look here. Let's not rule him out entirely, but let's just see what else we have here. What other options we have? Because what is Patrick at? 276. Oh, that seems very doable. This is one of those games where it's just like it's going to be back and forth. I'll take Mahomes at that. It's hard, but it's not crazy. You know what I mean? It's not impossible, especially with how I see this game going. Travis is another one I'm looking at. Target at 6.5. I think that's money. Those would be my 4. Yeah, definitely. Very Chiefs heavy, just because, I like the lines better, but I think this is definitely doable. Okay, so okay, that was the afternoon slate. So we are now moving into Sunday night. Seattle at Washington with a great uniform matchup, I think, because I think we're both wearing throwbacks. JSN has been, again, I will admit it, I was a doubter with him being the number 1 target. Those fears have been put to rest. Look at what this man has done against one of the best defenses in the league, a decent defense, a very good defense. Shitty, but I'm going to assume they were up and didn't need to. 9.5 targets does not seem out of the realm of possibility there. That is something that I think absolutely can happen with somebody like JSN and somebody that you can trust. Jaden is coming back. He was injured and came back last week. Right? No. This is his first week back, excuse me. They have him at 219. I don't hate it. 32.5 pass attempts. I do hate that. Seems excessive. But this could be a game they're down a lot. I'll take that passing yards for Daniels. I think that's probably the most realistic because this could be a game they're down a lot. The Seahawks have a very good team, so 32.5 passing attempts does not seem crazy. Yeah, if you look down here against the Chargers, Bears, Dallas, way lower. But look at Green Bay, who's a decent team, 42. I think the Seahawks are better than the Packers, so I think that this is going to be more of the realistic number that he throws compared to these three. So, and plus, he got hurt in this game, I think. So, I think that's a more realistic number. So, I don't want to touch the attempts because I think that's definitely a possibility. So, I'm going to take those yards at 219. Charbonnet is another one just because he is a vulture, and I love it because I have him in a league. So he gets in the end zone once I get on the goal line, and I don't think that's going to be a problem for the Seahawks. I think they're going to get on the goal line very early and often, so I'm going to take Charbonnet getting that end zone, vulturing that touchdown, because that bonus is very nice. Can't deny that bonus is very nice. And I think it was already confirmed that McLaurin is out, so that does leave Debo as a very intriguing option here. Not giving me targets, obviously, because they have no idea what to project him for. It's risky, but I'll take the 55 yards. Again, this is a risky one, most risky out of the four. I'm doing a big ticket, not touching this one. But in a smaller one, yeah, I'm going to take that. And last but not least, we have Arizona and Dallas, Monday night game. Always going to look at Trey McBride first to see where his targets are. 10, yeah, I'll take that. He's the favorite target of Kyler Murray, great check down option, and he's a great tight end. 10 targets does not seem crazy, so we'll go ahead and trust that. Marvin Harrison, on the other hand, is getting his breakout season finally. He is getting, like, okay, I don't want to say finally. He's had decent games. He's fallen off a little bit here in Indy, but I think this is the game. Did he get hurt that game? Maybe he did, but then he's been hurt. Oh, no, he got hurt that game. But either way, he's starting to develop more of what we thought he would be compared to his rookie year. And let's just see where the Cowboys rank when it comes to wide receivers. I think they are pretty average. Oh, look at the Cowboys. Oh, excuse me. They're the worst against wide receivers. Excuse me. So this is a situation where I think I am going to take that 55 yards. In a game that, again, the Cardinals should be throwing a lot. They should be. This is a game that I think that the Cowboys are going to dominate. So we'll take that. That is so tempting. That is so tempting. But no, I can't trust that. As tempting as that is. 9.5 targets for CD. I think that's doable. I like that. Him and Dak have a relationship. He came back from injury and they wanted to prove it. So I like that one a lot. Kyler Murray for 25 rushing yards is another one I like. Because he's definitely ran the ball. He's done it every single game since. They're going to be in trouble. They're going to be rushing. And I think Kyler's going to have to run the ball. So those would be my 4 for that matchup. So that is all of the slates there. So let's go ahead and see if the favorites saved this week. They haven't the last 2 weeks, so let's just see if they fixed it. They did not. Of course they didn't. Ah, fuck. Okay, let's go back to it. Build this ticket. We'll do the profit booster on this one. So let's just do the ones I have the most faith in, the ones that are exploitable. Okay. Like JT getting in the end zone. I like that a lot. DK. I like DK's receptions. Okay, not touching Denver, Houston, not touching Atlanta, New England. I like the McCaffrey, but that's a scary one. Trying to remember. That's why the favorites is the best one, because I can remember exactly who I loved. So let's just see. McConkey was one. I remember that was stood the hell out. Yeah. Like McConkey. McBride. Getting the targets. Like that one. Okay, so we need 4 more. What were the 4? God. I just felt were inevitable. Jacobs getting in the end zone was 1. 10 reception or 10 targets. I don't feel like that one's for sure. Craft. Yeah, craft targets too. Let's do that. Okay, so we need 2 more for our profit booster. Or pass attempts. Let's do that one because again, rushing yards on Vidal. Yes. Cam Ward. Pass attempts 33. Yeah. All right. So that is my big ticket booster here. So we got JT, DK Metcalf, Ladd McConkey, Trey McBride, Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft, Vidal, and Cam Ward. In the flex, we always do small bets here. Boom. Okay. So that's one of our big tickets there. So let's just clear all that out. Perfect. So let's do our normal morning, afternoon / evening slate, and then we'll build a college one, and then we will get out of here. So strictly morning, I think Gibbs getting in the end zone is pretty solid because I'm playing against him in fantasy, so that's probably going to happen. Again, diversifying the profile because you want certain things to happen, but you don't want to put too much on one thing. That's too close. I don't like that. Let's get Jamar Chase because he gets targeted out the anus. Perfect. Okay. No, I'm double dipping here. I know I'm double dipping here. Take it. He's cleared for Sunday. I'm taking it. Okay. That's the only one I'm going to double dip. I got to diversify. I cannot rely on the same players because if it doesn't hit, then your entire day is screwed. Okay. Let's take a little bit of a risk here with Tet getting those receptions. Again, don't love this game. I really don't love this game. There's got to be something, right? Let's look at Bijan. Where's the Patriots when it comes to running defense? Pretty damn good. Okay. Avoiding it. It's hard to avoid it, but I gotta avoid it. Jay Jetta getting targets. Shaheed. That's right. I like Shaheed. Where is Shaheed at? Is that the afternoon slate? Yes, that's the afternoon slate. Okay. All right. Gotta go Denver, Houston. Tried to avoid it, but let's go. I'm going to take Franklin on this one because I just think he is going to get his touches. Yeah. Take the targets higher on Franklin. We'll take the Nico targets. Yeah, take the Nico targets. And then we need one more for the morning slate. One more for the morning slate. Uh, 129 just seems so high. 5.5 receptions. Is that yeah, I think that's doable. He doesn't even give a bonus. I'm not. It's hard when you have somebody like that where it's they don't even give you a bonus for taking the big risks. God, gotta find. Let's get Rome in there. Let's get Rome in there. God, this is hard. We'll go Jamar. Oh no, Jamar's already in there. Okay. Damn. Let's even see what the payout is at 7. You know what? We'll take Daniel Jones getting 2 touchdowns. That'll do it. All right. There is the morning slate. As tough as it is. We got Jahmyr Gibbs getting in the end zone. Chase getting 11 targets. McConkey getting 8. McMillan getting 8. Justin Jefferson getting 8. Troy Franklin getting 7. Nico Collins getting 8. And Daniel Jones getting 2 touchdowns. That is our morning slate. Let's look at the afternoon here. Mike Kyron. Like Nakua. I like Shaheed. Those 3 literally are the ones that just jump off the page to me. This game is a little more questionable. I do like Genti. Again, is this biased because I own him in another league? But I'm gonna take that higher on that. I'm gonna take the rush yards and see where we're at. Okay. Casey Buffalo was another one that I really like. James Cook getting in there. Rashee Rice getting his receptions. No, not lower, higher. Kelsey getting his targets. How many do I need? 1 more. Okay. Why is this so hard? Why is it always so hard to choose one last one? Don't let me down, Mahomes. You let me down last week. Don't let me down. Okay. So that is the afternoon slate. A little more Chiefs heavy, but you know what? Let's remove that. Let's just get the evening game in there too. Getting JSN. 10 targets. Yeah, I like that one a lot better. Okay. So that is our afternoon slate there. We got Kyron Williams getting in the end zone. Nakua getting 10 targets. Rashee getting 6. Genti getting 61 yards. James Cook getting 91 rushing or receiving yards. Rashee Rice getting 7 receptions. Travis Kelce getting 7 targets. And JSN getting 10 targets. So that basically does it for the NFL slate this weekend. Let us go ahead. Let's build our college football one. Again, I'm not a college football expert, but I just like keeping Saturdays a little more interesting here. So, that's a good game. Vanderbilt, Texas. Okay, let's collapse all of this and just go through what we've got. A lot of slate here. Okay. Vandy, Texas. Arch Manning. Not a big game against Mississippi State. Still lost, but pretty big game. God, why do they get his numbers perfect? Okay, let's skip that game. Actually, what is Diego's at? I wish they had a total TD where it was passing and running them in. I wish they would give us a quarterback total TD, like 3. I would take that. That's hard. Let's see. Starting 2, Dowdle. I can never say that kid's name, but we'll go Kyle. Bam. 0.5 PPR. Definitely going Kyle. However you say his name, Mongai. The guy for the Bears, the backup for the Bears, replacing Swift. I definitely take him in that situation. Dowdle's the only one that makes me really concerned between him and Bam. I'd go Dowdle just because I think that game is a little more going to be a little more pass heavy, and I think they're going to have to get Dowdle out and throw him the ball. Because even Hubbard isn't a good catching back. I don't remember. Yeah, he's not a very good catching back. Where Rico is a little bit better. He's better all-around usage. Like if they get a game like Dallas getting 2 extra points at 56 yards, I'm going to trust that over Bam. So I would definitely go Dowdle and I butcher the kid's name every time. Monagai, the kid for the Bears, the backup for the Bears. Those would be the 2 I would go for in that situation. Okay, so PSU, Ohio State. I think that kid from Sane, I think, is going to go off today. Yeah, let's get the 2 touchdowns there. I think that's a decent spot to start. Let's see. Jeremiah Smith is also interesting. Yeah, let's take that. Let's get a little Ohio State love in there. Where's that K-State game? Because it's the only game that I'll be able to watch because I have YouTube TV. Morton. He's disappointed me last week. Got hurt and they didn't even justify it. Let's go with the passing yards on this one because this kid does look like he is going to be back and better than ever. So let's take that. Avery Johnson is a big question mark, though. Against KU, he looked great, but this is a very good ranked team, so I'm not going to touch him with the 10-foot pole just because we have no idea what we're going to look at there. Army, Air Force, that's all you're giving me? You know what, let's go. Quarterback runs all day. Okay. Pitt, Stanford. It's one of those weeks where it's just going to be all getting the shit kicked out of everyone, isn't it? Oklahoma, Tennessee. I like that one. 276 seems excessive. That's why I hate college football. It's so hard because it can literally go either way. Why is this so freaking hard? Oh, Georgia, Florida. There we go. Gunner, are you going to do it for me this week? Are you going to feed your guys the way you need to feed them? It's a very bad Florida team that just got their coach fired. Are you going to be able to do this for me, Gunner? I'm trusting you, Gunner. Let's take the passing yards. Let's go. We need 2 more.
Stay in that game. All right. We need one more. One more decent. Iowa State against Arizona State. Yeah, I trust it. Let's go. All right. So this is our college football slate, just to make Saturdays a little more fun. Again, I am not the expert when it comes to college football, so just keep that in mind. We are locking this in for today. We got Sayin getting 2 touchdowns, Smith getting 7 receptions, Morton getting 259 passing yards, Cale Helms getting 122 rushing yards. I can't say the kid for Air Force's name either. 131 rushing yards. Gunnar Stockton for 223 yards. DJ Langway for 241 yards. And Beck for 232 yards on this beautiful Saturday, day after Halloween. But that is what we've got here, guys. Come back. Let me know how you do, what your matchups look like, if I helped you win some money, or if my advice was awful. So, again, these are our tickets for the weekend. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Please let me know how you do, and make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Hit that little bell of a notification, get notified to all my videos here. I made a post about this. I do make videos usually pretty regularly. Was having some technical difficulties, so that is why I haven't posted videos, but that is going to be stopping here soon. I think I figured everything out, so more videos will be coming out this week. So make sure you subscribe for that. Follow me on X right here at _Justin_sports. I post there. I'm, try to have fun on X, trying to engage with people. So go ahead and do that there. But I hope you all have a great weekend. Excuse me. Hope you all have a great weekend. Let me know how you do, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Let's go.